Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Middleware Technologies. Today we'll be looking at how we can set up and configure a Redis instance. Okay, so here in this article, we will be looking at how we can install and configure Redis using Docker and Docker Compose services, and we'll be trying to configure or customize the configuration of the Redis using its default configuration file, and restricts its access from the loopback address. Okay, and we'll be also updating the default credentials for the Redis instance to make it more secure. We will once the Redis instance is up and running, we will try to see how we can use the Redis Insight portal, which is a analysis portal wherein we will be able to work with the Redis queries, and we'll be able to look at the Redis database reports and a lot more. Okay, so this is what we will be able to this is what we will be doing in this demo. So I'm currently working on Fedora 37 workstation with Docker and Docker Compose installed. These are the versions that are currently installed. Okay, so what basically is Redis? Okay, as most of us know, Redis is a in-memory data store. Okay, it basically is able to store your data in memory, and will be able to retrieve it very much faster for utilization in the application rather than retrieving the same data from disk, okay, or the database. But in today's but today Redis is much more than cache or cache server, wherein it stores only memory in the data, but it stores data in the memory, but it is also used as a basically a database or data structure store or a message broker. Okay, so it can be used to save different kinds of data, like user profiles data, user history data, okay, and authentication information, so that these data information can be retrieved at a much faster rate from the in-memory storage rather than retrieving it from the database which is stored on the disk. Okay, so that is the whole purpose of Redis. And now Redis provides us with a different platform or a set of package that we can call as Redis Stack. So what is Redis Stack? Redis Stack is basically a package which is consists of Redis, that is Redis OSS core package, plus the Redis Insight components. Okay, so basically it includes all the feature modules like Redis JSON, Redis Search, Redis Graph, and Redis Time Series, and Redis Bloom. Okay, so it is very helpful for setting up a complete set of tools required for application development using the Redis as a backend cache. Okay, so that is all about Redis Stack. So we'll be using this Redis Stack package, Redis Stack package, to install and configure in this demo. Okay, now let us go into our procedure in setting up Redis Stack on our machine. Okay, so for that, as a first step, what we need to do is we need to ensure that Docker and Docker Compose is installed and running. Okay, so let me go into my shell. So let me try to start my Docker service first. Okay, now I have my Docker service up and running, so you can see the status is up. Here like as I said, you just need to have Docker. So you need to have Docker and Docker version, Docker Compose installed on your machine. But if you do not have Docker and Docker Compose installed, like you can just check out the official documentation of the Docker and try to install these components before we proceed with the next steps. Okay, so this is the first step that we need to do. We need to ensure that Docker and Docker Compose is installed and running. Okay, now coming to our next step, that is the important step of creating the Docker Compose file for the Redis service. Okay, so let me open the Docker Compose file for my Redis service. Okay, so here you can see like we are using the Redis stack instance, and we are going to expose two ports of the Redis service, that is 6779 is the Redis server port, which we are going to expose on the following port on the host machine 10001, and the next service that we are going to expose is the Redis Insight service, that is running on 8001, and we are going to expose it on host machine with the port 13333. Okay, and now coming to the volumes, like we are going to store the Redis /data volume on the Redis dash data volume on the host machine for persistence. And the important thing is like we are going to configure our Redis instance using this following Redis stack custom configuration file, and we are going to load that into the following path in the Redis container. Okay, so this is how like we are going to launch our Redis service, and we are going to use the following Redis volume, and I have created a custom network that is of default external, which I am going to use over here to launch my service. So this is actually not mandatory, this part, like network. Like if you have Docker services, Docker Compose able to launch your services without any issues, like you can ignore this part or remove this part and try to launch. But let's say like if you are getting some error with you're not able to assign an IP address, IPv4 address for your Docker containers, like this is how like you can create your custom network and try to launch your Docker service, which we will be looking at further in the next in the steps that we'll be carrying out, basically like about the errors and what we are trying to do over here. Okay, so this is my very basic Docker Compose file that we are going to use in order to launch our Docker Redis service. Okay, so now let me go into my next step, that is, so as I said, like if we in case you are getting this error, like error response from daemon could not find an available or non-overlapping IPv4 address among the default to assign to the network. Okay, so if you are getting this error, like you can just create a network with the following subnet IP range from which the Docker will be able to get the IP addresses assigned, and we will be able to launch the Docker Compose service. Okay, so this is how like I have included this network once I have created this default network component. Now let us go into our next step, that is customizing the Redis stack configuration service. Okay, so this is very important step wherein we are trying to make a customization of that Redis configuration, which we can get from the So if you go into browser and search for Redis configuration, you can just go to the Redis configuration page and go to configuration example. Like you can take this Redis configuration file and copy it. Like this is a default configuration file that comes with Redis instance, so you can just copy it and save it in redis -stack.conf file. Okay, so this is the Redis stack configuration file that we are going to update. So there are two things that I have updated over here. The first thing is bind address. So basically I'm trying to bind my Redis instance to the default like basically the loopback address only. Okay, so by default, if there is no bind configuration, it basically binds to all the available interfaces on the machine or the Docker container. Okay, so this is what I have changed it over here right now. Okay, the next thing that I have changed is require pass. So this is the configuration that we need to enable and update so that we will be able to assign a default password for the default user. Okay, so by default the Redis instance comes unsecure, like it does not ask for a password for the Redis database, so that is a bit unsafe. So in order to secure our instance, like we will be adding the following require pass field to secure our default server. Okay, so these are the two configuration parameters that I have updated. If you want to look at the Redis stack configuration, so here is the command that you can try to run on your Redis stack configuration, so that it will just show you the configuration parameters along with that values without any comments in the configuration file. Okay, so this is how like you will be able to get the Redis configuration with all their values. Okay, and without any comments. Okay, so I just used this side command to remove all the lines with basically the comments or the space parameter. Okay, now it's time for us to launch the Redis service. Okay, so as a step 4, like we will be launching the Redis service with the customized Redis configuration that we have created. Okay, so now let us go to our shell and try to launch the Redis service using the Docker Compose. Okay, so now our Redis service should be up. So let me go to my browser and try to load the Redis Insight on the following port. Okay, now you can see like this is my Redis instance that I have created, but let me do one thing. Let me delete all the data, like just remove all the default data that is persisted. So now I have removed all the containers and the volumes. Now let me try to run my docker compose. Okay, now it has created the volume and network, so we should be having a fresh Redis instance. Okay, so now you get into this page. You can just ignore that error. That is basically the authentication error that you are getting, that we will be shortly looking at. So here, as a first step, like you need to accept the license and submit, and then you go into this page wherein you will get the Redis database connection details. Okay, so we are connection to this standalone database on localhost port 6379, and we are going to now provide the default user credentials. The username is default and the password is the password that we have set in the Redis configuration file. Okay, now you can go and apply these changes in order to connect to the Redis database. Okay, let me load my okay, so now you can see like our database is connected. Okay, so here you will see like all the keys that are available in your database, and this is the workbench from which you will be able to run your Redis queries in order to create your hashes, strings, like whatever key value pair that you are going to utilize in your application, you will be able to create over here and run them. Okay, and the third one, it is the Redis Insight, wherein you can just generate a new report and try to see like what all keys and values are available in your database, and also like what is the memory footprint or the utilization of your Redis instance. Okay, so these are the details that you will be able to see, and there are other sections which we are not going to look in this video, but we'll try to see like what they can do in our next upcoming videos if possible. Okay, now let us try to basically okay, so this is how like you will be able to use the Redis Insight. First, let us go into our steps. The next step that we are going to do is, once the Docker service is launched, we should be able to validate our Docker Redis instance using that portal. But before that, like we need to check something on the Docker container. So let me go into my Docker container. So once you start the Docker Compose service, like your Docker container should be up, and you can connect to it. Docker so let me connect to my Docker instance and run the bash command. Okay, so now you are connected to our Docker instance. So if you do ps -ef in the Docker container, like you will see like the Docker is initialized, the Redis service is initialized using the entrypoint.sh file. Okay, so that is available in the root path. So let me try to open that file for you. So this is how the Redis instance starts up. Okay, so the base directory for Redis is opt redis stack, and if we are going to pass the following file redis stack configuration file, then it is going to use that configuration file to start up your service. Okay, so this is why like we have copied the file at the /redis stack config location. Okay, and so this is the command that it uses to launch the Redis service. So the command is basically the base directory /bin/redis server, and we are going to pass the configuration file and any Redis data that we want to persist and these are the parameters that we are going to use in order to launch our default Redis instance. Okay, protected mode is no, and demonize is no. Okay, and we are going to load the following feature modules which are available in the Redis tag for us to be using. Okay, so this is how the Redis instance starts up in your Docker image once we have passed the configuration file from the Docker volumes. Okay, so this is what I wanted to show you, and the next thing is once the Redis service is up and running, like you can connect to the Redis instance using the Redis CLI command and provide the host name, which is the default, and port 67N, which is also the default, but this is the additional parameter that we have passed, that is the password for the default user, and we are going to run the following command, that is ping, and if the Redis instance is up and running, like we will be able to get a response that is strong. Okay, so as I said, the host and port parameters are default. Like if you are not going to provide them, it is going to use those as the default and try to connect to the Redis instance. Okay, so this is how like you will be able to validate your Redis instance once it is up and running. Okay, so now so this is how like you will be able to look at your key value pairs. Like you can go into a workbench and go to documents, go to introduction. So let's say if you want to create some hashes. Okay, let me go into my documentation again, and working with hashes, you can just create click on the create button, and you will see the 4 hashes that you will be able to create, and just try to execute it. So you will be able to see like your commands are executed, and once they are executed, you can go into your browser and try to refresh it and see that your hashes are created. Okay, so this is how like you will be able to use your workbench and browser from Redis Insight to look at your the key value pairs and create the key value pairs. Okay, now let us go into our next thing is analysis. Okay, so here you can just generate a new report, and now you can see like what is the memory footprint that our Redis instance is using, and how many key value pairs are there, and what are the top namespaces or the top keys that are being utilized in your Redis instance. So this is how like you can you'll be able to use the Redis Insight portal in order to work with your key value pair database and try to create your key value pairs and utilize in your application. Okay, so this is what I wanted to show you in this video. Like basically like looking at connecting to your Redis instance and trying to work with your workbench. Okay, so let me disconnect from my Redis instance. So this is what I wanted to show you in this video. Thank you all, thanks for watching this video, and you guys have a great day.